All right. Can't hear the music. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Teague's Take with George Teague. Alongside George and JT, I'm IndyCar Tim. We want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, and we especially want to thank those of you that have hung around for the last hour and turned off the Cowboys game because it's already getting ugly and are hanging out with us. We've got a tremendous guest tonight, a staple in Texas covering sports over the last, 30 years or so. High school sports, Big 12, pro sports. He's been all over East Texas and Central Texas on various incarnations of ESPN radio. And we are proud and privileged to have Mr. David Smoak on the show tonight. David, how are you?
Man, I'm proud to be here. Honored to be here. I appreciated this. When I had George on, a couple of months ago on a show in Waco, and then he asked me to come on what you guys are doing. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yes,
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you.
We're very happy to have you because you got so much knowledge. You're well-rounded. I mean, you're the type of person we need to be able to talk about high school sports, college sports, pro sports, just in general. You know, we've done I would say a good job of just having a well-rounded group of guests, and to have you on is truly an honor, sir. I know you do so much with TAPS in particular, since I coach at TAPS at JP2. John Paul II High School in Plano, Texas, and I know you've been following a lot of teams down there in Waco, particularly Waco Riker. Would I be right about that? And do you get to cover their games quite a bit? How many of their games have you covered?
Yeah, well, I did the last three. They beat, in fact, First Baptist Academy last week up in Italy. As they say, it's not Italy, it's Italy. And they're playing for the state championship against Shiner St. Paul Catholic on Saturday at Midway's Panther Stadium.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's really cool that you're able to follow and see the differences, because with their experiences in the UIL and the TAPS. And, I want to personally say I appreciate you for bringing more notoriety and different things to TAPS and the private schools kids, because there are a lot of talented kids in the private school arena, so we owe you a bunch, man. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's fun. I remember back when it was a TCIL, I think it was, back in the days before TAPS formed. And I was in East Texas in Tyler when they had one private school. I believe it was T.K. Gorman. George Cumbie, former Green Bay Packer, played at Oklahoma, played there. And then all of a sudden there started to be one more and another one and another one. And it's exploded. And I saw, the kid from Riker, the running back, was one of the star running backs at La Vega. They played for a state championship last year, lost to Carthage. Everybody does. And he's their star this year. So there's a lot of playmakers, no question.
Yeah.
I got to ask you real quick before we get going here into the meat of the interview, because I'm a big fan of Smoky.com, so I want to make sure we promote that to everybody.
Yeah, thank you. It's the craziest thing. Message boards now are a dime a dozen. There's millions of them. And back in 2000 and I guess 2001, there was a website that was actually out of Marshall, Texas, that covered the big boy schools there, the 5As at the time. Marshall, Longview, John Tyler, all those schools. And I enjoyed it. It was kind of neat because I could get on the message boards and go back and forth with some of the fans that covered. I covered Robert E. Lee, which is now Tyler Legacy, and JT, Longview, all of them. So I had a guy that was working at a radio station at the time when I was in Tyler, and he said, you can do that. And I was like, stop. I wouldn't know how to do it. So he helped me create this website that has been in existence since July, I think it was, June or July in 2002, and it's got historical sections of a lot of schools in both East and Central Texas, and scores and message boards, and it's kind of like I call it a high school sports daycare because, people go at it. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. My family helped me quite a bit to get that together as far as a lot of the historical perspectives. So that was a lot of fun. I've really loved being a part of that.
Well, that was going to be my big question to you was looking at it earlier today, prepping for the show. I saw the little note where it said it's been in existence. It said since 01 or 02. And I was telling JT about it before the show, and I was like, man, you don't run into a lot of websites that have been around for years these days. It's insane.
One of the things that I like about it is and again, we don't need to promote it too much. I mean, I appreciate it, is there's an historical section that has about 250 schools. And now, when I moved to Central Texas in 2010, I just grabbed onto about 90 of them, private, all the way up from 6-man to 6A. And it kind of got a history, a year-by-year history for some of them, records. For example, a running back runs for 300 yards each week. I'll put that in into their section, and it just builds and builds and builds every year.
Nice. Well, it's a wealth of information, man, especially for anybody wanting to get stuff on high school football. I use it a lot of times when I'm looking for information when he's gonna blow me up with high school football talk. So I gotta have somewhere to go to keep up with him. That's where I go.
You know what? There's nothing better. And there's I think it's Strawn, Texas. There's some sort of a documentary out or a series out about them. That's the innocence still of football, is high school football. I mean, in Texas has gotten to be big boy football the way it's promoted and covered, but it's still, to me, the innocence of sports, whether it's in Texas or another state. And the coaches, and I'm not saying that, George, just because you're here, but the coaches in the schools of the UIL and TAPS and TCAF and TCA, all of them. I mean, there's talent. Florida, Georgia, Ohio, all those states, Pennsylvania, Louisiana, they've caught up in a lot of ways with the kind of, like you could call the skill players and talent in football. But I still think from top to bottom, the commitment and the coaching in Texas is still so unmatched, I think, than most anywhere else in the country when it comes to the level of high school football.
All right, that's good. So you're going to put us you put Texas ahead of Florida or California? That's always the conversation.
There was always a conversation. It's a great question. I'd say back when the U started to make their run in Florida State, a lot of people would go raid Florida. They'd go to Ohio State, they'd go to Alabama, they'd go to Nebraska, they'd go to elsewhere. But when back in the 80s, I think people started realizing in the schools in Florida, Miami, Florida State, they started saying, hey, we got to stop letting our guys go. It's like Texas gets raided every year, by schools around the country because there's so much talent, it's so deep. But a lot of states back in, when I started, 35, 40 years ago, a lot of the states, it was Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and California, where you thought that was most of where the great high school players came from. But, man, Georgia, what we've seen in Louisiana the last 25 years, and then, of course, the state of Florida is loaded. But I think a lot of states now have kind of the camps, the 7-on-7, just the publicity. I think a lot of states have now caught when it comes to some of the elite talent, but the depth of talent and the depth of coaching in Texas, I still think, is unmatched in any state around America.
All right. I like it. Staying true to home. Staying with the old Texas boys here, because my Alabama folks right now are probably looking at you saying,
No,
"Man, you crazy."
I
man.
know, it's the Alabama. If you took the depth per level of player, then other states would have probably a better average player. But the number, Alabama could only produce so many players because of the size of the state. It is kind of what I'm talking about as far as the depth from top to bottom. There's what are there like 13 or 1400 schools in the state of Texas who play football, and I don't know how many. It's the largest I would think around America in any state, even the larger states that can compete with them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're still watching this Cowboys game here. We know we got people doing double duty here. We got the Cowboys down now, 14-10. Just look like we just got a pass interference here as well, just popping up. So before the show, David, you were talking about the offensive line. Sound like you got a little bit of stuff up front to speak about. You know, what about our offensive line? Can we hold on for the rest of this game? You know, and run the ball what is that? Come on. I'm sorry, man. Watch this game. I mean, he's like 5 seconds early, man.
I knew this was a bad idea. Trying to have it while he's watching the game.
Well, the Ravens have 161 yards rushing to 53 for Dallas. And I mean, there's every time I look, there's somebody running free. Dallas just missed a field goal. Tucker missed a field goal for Baltimore. He never misses anything. Yeah. So still 14-10. There's a minute left. But you lose those. We look at the losses of Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins. Look, Collins hasn't played at all, and Tyron basically didn't. You then have Martin out a little bit. He's out now. But I'll tell you right now, when Travis Frederick decided to retire, after he had that issue from 2 years ago, then he came back and played pretty well last year. And, what was it, 6-7 years ago? You look up and they have 4 all-pro type players. And then you just got to plug the gap with whoever's going to play left guard, whether it's a veteran, Ron Leary, they let him walk. He got they drafted Connor Williams. I thought that offensive line was set for a decade to 12 years. It's hard to do that because of free agency, but they wrapped them all up, Frederick long-term, Tyron long-term, Lyle Collins recently long-term, Martin long-term. The problem is that sounded great, but man, it's George, I didn't play the game. Anything after high school football, you understand the wear and tear playing where you played. It's staggering what's happened to their offensive line with the attrition, injuries, and then a guy like Travis Frederick who one day wakes up and he's got this issue with his strength and he comes back. You think, okay, they got fortunate, and now he's gone. I mean, they've been obliterated. They have been obliterated, and I don't know how you could expect anything to go well offensively, no matter your weapons, if you don't have an offensive line like that.
That's right. Thank you. And so, JT, what is the yardage that Zeke has right about now? Have they posted it up yet on how many rushing yards he actually has?
They haven't, but I can definitely pull that up on the side here and find it for you.
I'm going to guess he's got like 33 yards.
He popped a couple of not bad runs for sure.
He had a couple of 10-yard plus runs in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
He has 43 yards.
Okay.
9 carries, 43 yards.
Yeah, just about almost 5 yards a pop.
So I posed a question earlier to them as a hypothetical that, would he eclipse 88 yards for the game? How we feel about that one tonight, fellas? Right now, knowing that he's halfway there.
Did you pick 88 yards because of 88 miles per hour and Back to the Future? You know where that number came from.
Well, I mean,
it's because Dez wore 88. He was supposed to play tonight, and he didn't get a chance to play. How about that drama?
Well, I'm be interested to hear the storylines because I heard something that he was saying like he's going to retire now or something.
He got all emotional on Twitter.
Yeah, something came out. He said, "You can't believe this. Hey, of all the people, they grabbed me and they tested me, and I tested positive for COVID." And so that knocked him out of the game. And then Dez is incredibly emotional.
Yep.
Next thing you know, he's like, "I can't do this anymore." And the next thing you know, "I'm not doing this anymore." And, can you imagine the emotions built? Yeah. How much emotions built up in him to play against them, even if he lined up for 10 snaps, with all that was going on. D-Rob, was it David Robinson? He coached at First Baptist Academy, and he has helped with some of the wide receivers. We had him on our show today. He said, you cannot imagine the emotions of him getting back to the NFL after, 3 years, much less than playing against his former team. And he's out there hugging all of his former teammates and coaches. Well, if he's got COVID, how much contact tracing is going on throughout this whole time? I mean,
I'm surprised they played the game.
Yeah. I mean, some people would run for I've kind of lived through this. I've been smart. I'm not acting like I've just been completely like fearless, but I mean, he's hugging and we don't know what that means. We don't know that tomorrow there might be 15 guys that test positive for Dallas and Baltimore again.
Yeah,
by the way, it should be noted that Zeke's got 43 carries, JT, on 43 yards on 9 carries.
That's pretty good.
That's almost 5 yards a carry.
Yeah,
it is. To answer the question, though, I still think he's gonna. I think under. I don't know. 88's cutting it close. I think that's a pretty good line. Right now, I'm gonna say under, just because I think they're gonna have to abandon the run game here pretty quickly. I think
17 to 10 now. So it depends if Baltimore stretches that out. They might have to abandon the run. You're right, which they've had to do a lot this year.
And I believe Baltimore gets the ball to start the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
So you're thinking he's going to need 20 carries at least, and his average may go down because his average is sitting right at about 3.9 over the season. I'm talking about.
4.8.
I mean, even at 4 yards a pop at 20 yards, it still don't get you to 88.
No,
20 carries.
Well,
the one thing is how many long drives does Baltimore have? If they suck the clock a little bit, they're not taking long. They're getting big gas and yards in the running and passing game. But if there's one of those 11 play 6 or 8 minute drives that, rotate with Pollard, and he may not even get the 20 carries,
Yep. Well, listen, I know we got a lot of Cowboys stuff to talk, and we'll be talking more about that throughout the show. But I wanted to hit you a little bit about this Big 12 stuff. We talk so much about SEC football on here, Alabama, LSU. Unfortunately, we talk about Texas A&M way too much on this show as well. But man, Baylor football. I know you cover them a lot, and you're really close to them, so we can't beat up on them too much. But are they on the climb? Are we making the ride back with Baylor football? Are they going to ever catch it? Here's my question: how far away are they from truly catching up with OU?
Well, last year this year they just played Oklahoma off their heels up in Norman with Oklahoma was coming off a COVID issue, but their offense right now, Baylor's offense is struggling. Charlie Brewer, it's a big debate in Waco among Baylor fans. Is he not able to stretch the field? I think, there's certain things that Charlie's got limitations, but I'll tell you right now, they can't run the football. I mean, they cannot run the football. They have an offensive line that's a mess. With all due respect, I know we're talking about college kids. They had 25 or 30 yards rushing against Oklahoma. Charlie Brewer's their leading rusher almost every game. They can't protect him. I think against Oklahoma didn't have much either. Baylor's defense played lights out against them. I think Baylor had about 30 yards or so rushing in that game against Oklahoma. Heck, Charlie Brewer threw the ball 56 times in that game. A lot of it because they're playing catch-up. He's not a guy you want throwing the ball 56 times. And last year, Matt Rule, in what was one of the great turnaround coaching jobs ever, from 1-11, coming off Art Briles in the year they had the buffer zone with the interim coach, to what they were 7-6 to get to a bowl game. Last year's team was good, and they were good enough offensively to where they were dangerous. But their defense, they got like 13 guys, I think, now in the NFL on either practice squads or teams. But the question is, can they get back to the level of Oklahoma? People have been trying to do that now since Bob Stoops got there. Texas had their run with Mac Brown and Vince Young, and a couple of times Colt McCoy in 2009. The last decade, Texas hasn't been able to catch not only Oklahoma, but half the league. Baylor under Briles they won it twice. Then we know that fell apart. I think they can. The team now, right? The team this year that's really good, and they've been busting people the last 2 weeks, is Iowa State. I mean, they look really good. And think about this: they lost to the University of Louisiana. Baylor has a new coach, Dave Aranda, SEC defensive coordinator, won a national title with them. And they have a few other guys off that staff. Can they catch Oklahoma? Obviously, they just played them pretty well for a team that's 2-6 right now. I think there's a lot of, I'm not saying there's a mulligan year for a lot of people, but they didn't have spring drills. They didn't really have to they didn't have a normal summer. They've had 3 games that have been pushed back, 2 canceled. I'm not trying to say that others aren't going through that as well, but when you have almost a brand new staff, you can't get to know the parents. The kids can't go home. They're quarantined all the time. You can't really develop relationships. George, I mean, the coaches and strength and conditioning people were the guys that saw you more than your head coach, Gene Stallings, I would think, There's hardly any of that. So will they catch Oklahoma? People have been trying to do that for 20 years. Texas did it a little bit, but I don't know if anyone's ever going to ever catch them, But play with them, I think they can. They had them twice. Remember halftime last year, they had Oklahoma down like by 3 touchdowns. And they just, there's that championship pedigree that you have. And Oklahoma flexed their muscles. And then the championship game in Arlington went down to the wire, went overtime. So they've proven they can play with them. The problem is, can they sustain it? That's the key.
Well, and guys, I can agree with what he's saying, especially given the past, the asterisk year and all that. But what about Iowa State? How they get – it's just one of those years. It's like a year when Kansas was good and Missouri was good.
No. Don't be sleeping on Iowa State like that, man. That's wrong.
Well, I'm trying to ask. I mean, we got Baylor, which is kids want to go to Baylor. It is a great school. They got good facilities. They got great traditions. If you haven't been to a Baylor game, and the first one I went to, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and I saw when all the students, I don't even know what they call it, David, you can tell me, but when all the students run across the field at the beginning of the game, it is Baylor absolutely – Yeah, I mean, it blew me away, man, just to see that. It's such a cool tradition to have. Like, man, if I was a player, I'd really, really like this type of atmosphere.
Iowa State had their quarterback who's back, and so did Texas with Ellinger, Brewer at obviously Baylor and a couple of others. Brock Purdy, who didn't play well early on the year. You remember they lost a couple of times. But, man, they have the best running back maybe in the country. I know that there's Clemson's got theirs. Alabama's got Najee Harris, and Clemson, I always forget his name. He's fantastic.
Travis Etienne.
Yeah, Etienne. Thank you, sir. And also, there's others, but this Breece Hall, he's it. And you have your quarterback back. You had a lot of players on defense coming back. They were supposed to be where they are this year. There was a thought that would be them at least last year, but Baylor snuck in, kind of beat them in that thriller. Baylor kind of jumped ahead of them. And Iowa State thought last year was their year to maybe threaten and get into the championship game. Their problem is they haven't won a conference championship. I can't remember, like in the 1920s or so. I mean, like an outright title. And so, but they were pretty much loaded up for this year. The question was, could they handle it? Because last year it appeared as if they were, and they just couldn't. It's hard when you're not a pedigree or you're not a blue blood or you're not a country club member to college football. It's hard. Even it seems like you have to overcome a lot. Matt Campbell, he's been the perfect fit for them. And they're really pretty good. I mean, they're beating people up right now. The thing is, they're going to have to probably they're going to have to beat Oklahoma twice. And OU now seems like they kind of got their act together.
Yes, sir. So, hey, tell everybody where we can find when people want to listen to your show. We got listeners all over the country and out of the country. So how do they tune in if they want to hear you? And how often are you talking about?
Well, what I love about the show is even though we're called Sikkim 365 Radio, it started out as a website, just Sikkim365.com. And they had a dream to do a talk show. And when back in mid-March, the radio station I was at prior to that, they made some changes. They got rid of my son, Paul Catalina, who's been a co-host with me for almost 10 years. And all of a sudden I'm fighting for him. Next thing you know, I'm with him, and we didn't know what we were going to do. We'd find something. And we got a call pretty quickly. They wanted to do a radio show. And I'm like, how do you do that? You got to have a radio station. Look what we're doing here. This is online. This is what we're doing. I mean, some of the best college football and pro football podcasts aren't on a radio. It's on the technology apps and stuff like that. So they contacted us within 2 or 3 days. They actually had sat down with me and Craig and Paul. So we're on every afternoon, 3 to 6 on Sikkim 365 Radio. You can go online, the site. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and we have the app. And the app is free. And then the best part of this, guys, is that back in August, they bought a building, which is brand new, right across from Martin Luther King's Plaza off the Brazos River. And we built a brand new studio. So we're also live on, like we are now. We're live in a studio that looks like you're in a TV studio. And we have other things that we do, high school football games. We have podcasts, fantasy football. We have Cowboys podcasts. And it just rolls over. And the best part I was excited about is that I contacted a lot of the people that sponsored our radio show. And I think we started out with 11 to 13 sponsors, which was 11 or 13 more than they ever had because they weren't on the air. We now are nearly 40 sponsors. Oh, wow. And I'm telling you, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. We all basically work for ourselves. We communicate all the time, but that's where we are every afternoon from 3 until 6. I'm on @DavidSmoak, the name underneath me here, and just put the @ in front of David and Smoak, move over one space on Twitter. And then you've mentioned my high school website, which I appreciate, but man, we're having so much fun. We cover a lot of Baylor football. We cover Baylor basketball. The women's team's pretty good. They lost Sunday night to Arkansas. But we do a lot of stuff with the Cowboys. And we have a tremendous amount of guests. George, you were one of them. And we're just having a blast.
Well, I'm hoping I'm able to get back on again. And I want to see your studio at some point in time. I'll be down there. I haven't decided. I haven't talked over to the TAPS office yet about going to the state championship games down there because I'm really interested in watching Nolan play Parrish for sure this Saturday at 7 p.m. So that's probably one that I probably just need to go watch and see one of their two powerhouses out of our district to go play there. But I just think it's going to be a good game, and there'll be plenty more between this weekend and the next weekend for state championships games down in Waco at Midway. It's going to be good. It's going to be really,
beautiful
really good.
Stadium. You ever been to that stadium? Have you ever been to Panther Stadium in Midway?
We went to state last year.
Yeah, we went to the state
That's right.
game last year.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's a beautiful place, man. It's a perfect size for that venue that they're hosting as well. No question.
Yes, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And I got to tell you one story because you talk so much about, or I know you've done so much covering with Waco Riker and things. And a lot of people don't know this. So Riker, when I was at Carrollton Christian Academy, one of the schools that we would have had to face would have been Waco Riker. This was a few years ago when they were extremely dominant. They were a little bit bigger at the time. Forgetting the head coach's name that was there, Wagner.
Mark Wagner, yeah.
Mark Wagner was there. And, man, they had the biggest dudes ever that I ever seen. It seemed like they kept quarterbacks and doing some things. And so we were making a really good run with Carrollton Christian Academy for the first time ever. And we were getting ready. We were going into the semifinal game. I think we were playing Austin Regents, I believe is who it was. And if we would have won that game, we would have had to play Waco Riker. And so we traded the film with them because Riker had played Austin Regents. And we got that film, and we were watching Austin Regents, but we couldn't keep our eyes off of what Riker was doing. And we were trying to decide, are we really going to show this film to our kids? Because they're not going to want to go to the state game because there's no way we're going to beat those dudes. You never ever want to talk like that as a coach, but you're realistic and say, fellas, we want to get to the state game, but oh my gosh, if we get there, it's going to be nasty. So we did end up, we should have won against Austin Regents.
We fumbled at the one. Fumbled into the end zone at the one with very little time left in the game. That would have been the go-ahead touchdown.
Yeah, we should have beat them. We were playing very, very good defensively, and we were moving the ball offensively, as he said. We should have won that game, but I really don't know what it would have been like going into Riker at that time. I know there's a different team now.
I think they won 4 state titles. They won in 7, 8, and 9. 2007, 8, and 9. They won like in 2004, and they've won back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, they had a great run with Coach Wagner, no question about it.
Yeah, those are the years. Those are the years that I was at CCA. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, actually. That's why. So anyway, I'm wishing them well. I hope they win it again, bring something to Waco, bring that championship back home to them. That'll be cool. So one more Cowboys question. We're going to wind down here with you because the spread was 8.5. I know you're not a gambling man, and we're not trying to say that, but we had our little picks just in case you didn't hear it. 8.5 the Cowboys had. Are they going to cover the 17-10 now at halftime? What do you think about this one, David?
I would have said at the start of I would have said something like Baltimore 30-17, something like that, earlier today. Dallas has gotten a couple of breaks, so is Baltimore at 17-10. I thought, with the way the thing started, you get a pick interception I think it might even have been a tip. No, I don't know if it was a tip ball. It might have been. Yeah. And then you have the long kickoff return. And then even with all of that going on, you're down 7. So you've had a couple of breaks on the road. And I just think what probably will happen is they'll just get worn down in the second half. And Baltimore will hit something deep. Someone will get loose. And it'll end up being about 30-17, something like that. So I'll say they won't cover the spread, no.
Okay. All right. Well, there's all of us.
About in line with the rest of us.
Yeah, we're all on the same page.
Even real quick, I just had a text message from a buddy that told me that you interviewed their golf team in 1987 at Longview High School.
Yeah. I sure have. Wow. That's one of the great things. I love covering high school football. That's just amazing. But I was at Mart High School, George, earlier today. You guys, JT, and also Tim. I was at Mart High School. And they've like basically just completely renovated the entire school. It used to be a tough place to go as far as their field house was a mess. The gym was dark. The field house, and I was blown away. And I put up a video on my Twitter feed of their championships. And I'm there because the Mart football team. I go to see their head coach Kevin Hoffman. But as you look at all these plaques and you realize volleyball or track and field or baseball or all of these sports and Longview. I don't remember the exact names of the players. That bothers me. I remember one time I drove to Carrollton, Texas, which is on the other side, like just north of Marshall, and I did a story about a cross-country runner and sat up and down a country road and watched them run. And I just love the human interest parts of covering athletes in high school, now college as well. And the Lobos. I was so happy for them. I know I'm going way too long with you guys, but they won the state championship 2 years ago with John King as quarterback. Haynes is now at A&M. He'll be like the starter. I don't know. I guess Mon might be leaving, but they had gone since 1937.
It ain't been there 13 years. That's funny.
Mon's been there forever.
Yeah. He was committed to play at Baylor. He was going to go to Baylor. Art Briles, he targeted him early. And then he went to IMG Academy, and then Briles, of course, was no longer there, so he ended up at A&M. There's a lot of those connections around the country, but Longview was always good. And they had gone, it was driving them crazy. John Tyler won a couple of state titles in that time. Robert E. Lee, now Legacy, won one. And, Marshall, Texas High, all Lufkin with Reggie McNeil in 01. And it was driving them crazy. That's a great fan base. They are as loyal as anybody. They packed that place. It's a great setting where they have their stadium. But I'm so happy for them that they finally won it a couple of years ago because it had been driving them nuts. So whoever was from Longview, good luck to you. And I don't know if they're not going to probably win it this year. They're good, but Highland Park beat them up pretty good earlier in the year. And but that's cool to hear about that from Longview. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I thought that was interesting. It's a small world for sure.
And only JT will get this, but I feel the need to say it because Coach Oglesby may be listening. But when we talk to JT, already know where I'm going with this because David Smoak. So we got a coach on our staff. It don't matter what we say. He's been to every city in the state of Texas. It don't matter. He visited every football team, every barbecue joint, every summer. Like, really? How do you even know what these places are?
I bet he's talked to David too.
Maybe had. I remember. Man, it's so. There was a time I went to. I would think every single football program in from Texarkana down to basically Newton, Jasper, that area, and everyone, all the way to Corsicana. And now, you mentioned Oglesby, and I'm thinking that's a 6-man football team around here, and they had their best year they've had in like 30 years. And so I love the history intertwines. But if you've been to any high school city in Texas, you've seen a Dairy Queen, right? I mean, everybody seems like they got a Dairy Queen. When I was doing TV, we couldn't get a score one time at Dangerfield, and of course they ran football in that 80s, that team that they had at 83 that was the best I've ever seen ever. 640 points, and they gave up 8. And I remember we couldn't get a score. The press box wasn't answering the phone. Nobody. So I called the local Dairy Queen. They were like, "What are you calling them for?" I said, "Every Dairy Queen knows the football score of the team in their city, right? I mean, they're coming in. People are going through the drive-through. We got the score about a minute before we went on the air that night for television, and that reminded me of what you were talking about with Coach O, knowing all the barbecue joints and all the cities. That's cool. And what a great history in Texas.
That's awesome.
My only Dairy King story, my most interesting Dairy King story is I was offered my JP2 job at a Dairy Queen by Kent Turner, who you probably know as well from back then.
That's cool, man. You know that when Matt Rule interviewed Joey McGuire, who had the great run at Cedar Hill, who's on the Baylor staff, they met at like Denny's in Hillsboro over like breakfast one day because Joey had told him no, he wasn't going to join the staff. And Rule sat down. They had breakfast at like a Denny. I think it was a Denny's in Hillsboro. I might be in the wrong place. And they hit it off. And Joey McGuire was a major part of Matt Rule's staff. He's on Baylor staff right now. Of course, Rule's doing, he's making a lot of money in the NFL after what he did at Baylor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, we do thank you, man.
Anytime. Anytime, man. I appreciate all you guys. I love what you're doing, and you need to expand this as much as you can. Enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. What we're doing, the technology allows us to do this. I've learned through these Zoom sessions what I didn't even know what Zoom session meant 9 months ago. Now I'm like, I'm pretty good I'm not saying I'm great technically. I'm not technologically very good. But isn't this great? We be in 4 different places, and we can act like we're right here in the same room. We've learned a lot about it. We've learned a lot of new things. It's good that we can do this and meet and enjoy it. And anytime you want to come on, or anytime you need somebody to fill time, please let me know. I'd love to do it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate it.
Go Bama.
You got it, man. Roll Tide, baby. Roll Tide.
All right.
I voted for the Bolitnikoff Award today, and I'm on the Bolitnikoff Award. I got the Devontae Smith, right? The kid from Alabama that's having a monster year. Yeah, he is. How good is that? How good is that? And yeah, he got my first place. I'm not sure I'm allowed to divulge that, but I just did. I don't think that's really hard. I don't think that's hard to do on who's going to be the best wide receiver award.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Tim gets mad whenever we start talking about Alabama, so we're going to call it there.
Do not. A little bit.
Well, all right, brother. Well, we do appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and take a break here and go ahead and get in. We're going to actually talk a little bit more college football with Money Matters and JT a little bit just right after the break. And, man, I don't know, man. Does Ohio State get into the playoffs or not? We've talked about this, and, man, I'm telling you, there's something fishy going on.
I have the solution.
Okay,
and I will divulge it on the other side.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys on the other side.
Right there. We'll be back.
ProfoundSites.com.
Thanks, guys.
Personal and commercial needs. Websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, Profound Sites is responsible for creating GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear Teague's Take with George Teague every week. Brent Thomas and Profound Sites can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, design, to coding, and making your site live and discoverable on the internet. Contact Brent Thomas at profoundsites.com or email him at brent@profoundsites.com.
Hey, sports and sports memorabilia fans, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about our new friend Chris Gordon over at the Cowboy House, cowboyhousesports.com on the web. Now, Chris is super passionate about all sports, and that's why the Cowboy House is so much more than just a Dallas Cowboys sports memorabilia store. He's got unique game-used memorabilia and rare, hard-to-find autographs for teams across the globe. Everything from the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, golf, UFC, soccer, Olympics, even from Hollywood and the political sector. And his store isn't just a fancy mall store. It's more of a man cave that he likes to share with his friends and customers. Come on into the store at 209 South Shady Shores Drive, Suite 200 in Lake Dallas, and you can walk on the Texas Stadium end zone turf. You can sit in a chair from Yankee Stadium or Texas Rangers Globe Life Park. Check out hundreds of autographed jerseys from hundreds of teams. Check out thousands of photos signed with certificates of authenticity. He's also got custom framing for all of your sports memorabilia items. Chris Gordon over at cowboyhousesports.com. 214-551-5978. Thank you, Cowboy House.
Need a one-stop shop for Cowboys news happening over at the Star in Frisco? Click on over to cowboyssi.com, featuring Mike Fisher with 30 years experience covering America's team. It's the most popular of all Sports Illustrated sites and home to the Cowboys Blitzcast podcast. cowboyssi.com is the place to get inside your Cowboys. With such a talented team of writers and reporters over there, you'll always know the latest about personnel and roster moves, salary cap issues, and draft class status. Click on over to cowboyssi.com and get the inside scoop on America's team.
3R Sports Graphics. Hello, everybody. You've probably seen the graphics that are out on social media every week that announce the guest for Teague's Take for that week, as well as their credentials listed there on the graphic as well. Those come from our good friend Tyler Sanders over at 3R Sports Graphics. Now, he only works for schools, so we need to mention that. Some of his proud schools are Liberty Christian, Parish Episcopal, Legacy Christian, and Fort Worth Christian. These are custom graphics for your school's athletic department. Hire Tyler Sanders and 3R Sports Graphics, and you will work one-on-one with a graphic designer. You will get final score graphics the night of the game, unlimited graphics with a 1-year contract, and you can fulfill the sports information director role of a school, but for a fraction of the cost. And he will handle this for you every week. He puts it out on social media for you as well. He handles that. Give Tyler Sanders a call with 3R Sports Graphics, 713-933-9767, or you can shoot him an email, tsanders2405@gmail.com. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics, on Twitter at 3R Sports and the number 1. And check out his Twitter feed. He's got all of the examples. You can scroll through his feed and look at all of the graphics as he's done for everybody. Tyler Sanders, 3R Sports Graphics. Give him a call now. Thank you, Tyler. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this edition of Teague's Take, the second half of Teague's Take. We want to welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. And man, what a great interview David was. And I'm really glad you booked him, George. He's just a wealth of knowledge, and I can't wait to talk to him again. I may give him a ring off the air and pick his brain a little bit about some other things. So it is time for George. You're muted. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Right, I'm back. Here I am.
It is time for America's favorite Teague Take segment. And that being, by the way, I've got a little production quality music here for you. It's time for Money Matters with JT. JT, what we got?
Brought to you by profoundsites.com. This week, I'm going to pretend that I am the supreme ruler of the NCAA and college football playoff. And I'm going to change the rules and how things should work. And I want to get your opinions on this. So there's a few things that I'm trying to fix here. And one of those is the importance of conference championships. I'm trying to elevate the importance of conference championships. I'm trying to actually level the playing field a little bit on the race to crowning a national champion. And then if you guys really aren't buying that, then I'll tackle the let's make bowl games better than they are, because right now the bowl games are a mess and nobody cares. So
Agreed.
This is actually really simple, and this is why I didn't even write it down. I think that the college football playoff should expand to 10 teams. And why I say this is because there are 10 conferences. If you win your conference, you get to go to the playoffs. Simple as that. But that requires a bit of a scheduling change on how we actually make our schedules. No more of these, let's schedule 4 out of conference teams, one of them being a cupcake or whatever, and hope you don't lose a game. What we're going to do now is we're just going to say, hey, look, you're going to play, if your season is supposed to be 12 weeks long, let's play 10 conference games, provided you have 10 teams in your conference, which the Big 12, they wouldn't be able to do that, but they play everybody anyway. You get 2 out of conference games, which now essentially don't matter, right? So you don't have to schedule your Mercers or whatever right before Auburn, so that you hopefully don't lose a game and whatnot. Now you can go and schedule that big Power 5 opponent just to have a good game, and if you lose, you lose. Fine, whatever. That doesn't matter. What matters is winning your conference. And if you win the conference, then you get to go to the college football playoff. And, if you're in the Sun Belt winning your conference, yeah, maybe you run up against the SEC champion and you get the doors blown off of you. Whatever. Fine. This is what you wanted.
Maybe.
But what this solves is, and I know, one of the things is going to be, well, people are still going to be complaining, but at least now you're not complaining over subjective reasons. You're not complaining on whether or not so-and-so is actually better than whoever. And we're not talking about who's ranked 4, 5, and 6. Now we're just talking about, hey, you didn't win your conference. You had 10 games to play. You didn't make it. Sorry. Let's try again next year. So,
man, that seems like we got a long postseason, though, if that's what's going to happen. So you're talking about 10 regular season games?
Plus, you'd have to play. How many weeks does it have to be? Or if you have 10 teams,
Are we talking about another 3 weeks?
If you have 10 teams, well, depending on who. So
gotta be some
the Power
bias in
5
there
teams would not be. The Power 5 teams would not be the play-in games. Your play-in games would come from your Group of 5. You'd have like a Sun Belt versus a Conference USA or whatever. They'd have to play an extra game, and now it's an 18 tournament, and you play the round of 8, the round of 4, and then if you are a Power 5 team, I'm actually just adding 1 game to your season.
Gotcha. Okay, but the little schools would play more.
The little schools will play 2 extra games.
Right.
Okay.
In exchange for actually being on the big stage, so that, because what irritates me the most is about the Group of 5 is we do so much of this pretending that the Group of 5 is actually FBS schools and that they have some kind of shot at being in the playoff and in title contention.
UCF, Cincinnati, those guys.
Yes, and we know that not to be the case for 2 reasons. 1, nobody ever respects Group of 5 teams, and 2, most teams are afraid to play Group of 5 teams because of the ranking. You lose to a Group of 5 team, and you're like, yeah, that's it. Your title chances are done because you played one bad week one time against a school that might actually be pretty good. So I'm eliminating this. Now you can play your Group of 5 team. If you lose, doesn't matter all of that much as long as you can handle business in your conference.
Okay. So there's a lot that I heard in there, and I guess my first question would be, and I think it does eliminate a lot of things. But one of the things that we talked about earlier when you're saying, hey, so now it's no longer, the playoffs would be no longer to find the best teams in the country. It would be just 10 teams
whoever won.
Correct. So your SEC teams that are, you're going to have an argument that, hey, 4 teams out of one conference is way better than this conference champion.
I would rebut that by saying you found the best team in that conference. It doesn't matter that the second best team is not in the playoffs. What matters is the best team of that group made it. So if your team is actually the best, you should win your conference and beat all the winners from the rest of the conference or from all the other conferences.
Gotcha. I understand that. So, Timmy, is this much different than
I just think I think I'd still like to see it. I mean, I get it, and it makes sense, and it would probably be entertaining for a couple of rounds. I still think I'd like to see more of an NFL style playoff, kind of like what there is now, where you've got the best teams that are in, and some of them might be from the SEC. You might get a couple out of the Big 12 or whatever.
I disagree that the NFL has the best teams going to the playoffs. Well, fundamentally,
are you trying to say that? Is that your sly way of talking about the NFC East real quick? Or what
yeah, I get it, because they have to allow the conference or the division winners. And I get that. I don't even like that. I just think you should, like the NHL used to do it right. Baseball used to do it right. Regardless of division affiliation or conference affiliation, it was the NHL used to have the top 12 teams. Didn't matter what conference you were in.
Yeah, and I think that works.
And you'd have two teams maybe from the Western Conference facing each other in the Stanley Cup Finals. Well, you're the 2 best teams. I think that's how every sport should do it.
I think that works when you have a smaller number of teams. When you're talking about 30 teams and you're going to play 162 games, you can play everybody many, many times, and you can actually have a good sample size.
Right.
But when you've got 130 and you only get to play 10,
hard to
12,
do that in college. Yeah.
But my alternative, for those who don't like that, my alternative is
BCS championship.
No. Close. It's a mix between the BCS championship and what we have right now. You can keep your 4 teams if you're staunchly I gotta have 4 teams. Anything else than that is a farce, which I think is I don't subscribe to that at all. Nobody has just a 4-team playoff. That's ridiculous. But anyway, don't select your playoff contenders until after the bowl games. Play your Rose Bowl, play your Sugar Bowl, play your Peach Bowl, Orange Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. Get those high-profile matchups that you want anyway. And now winning the Rose Bowl means something again, because you have to beat a pretty good team. This is a team that you weren't going to play, right? Because this is going to be your Big 10 winner versus your Big 12 winner. And you're going to see another USC Penn State 55-52 overtime madness. And you can say, okay, well, we know that Penn State ain't it. We're going to try USC for real, and we're going to send them to the playoff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I like that one. I like that one
better. Yeah, I like
probably
that one better.
Probably better than the other one. I don't know. I'm not sold on taking every one of the conference championships, which kind of leads me to that point of what are we going to do here? With you got some pretty good matchup with the 4 big conference championships, right? ACC, Clemson, Notre Dame, pretty good, right? One of them go or both of them go? Only one of them can go. I don't know.
They both can go. See, this is so, Nick and I were having this conversation on whether one or both should go. And this is the whole thing that I was trying to avoid is I don't want any subjectivity on do you let Clemson and Notre Dame go or do you just take one? Like, well, who won? Who won the conference?
Right. Yes. So I hear you. That's good. I think there's definitely some food for thought to be thinking about with that because those are some interesting things. So before we get off of money matters and get into the next piece, because we do got to talk about Ohio State. and Michigan. But I don't think you got JT. I would say you got a lot for people to be considering here. I think there's some validity to 10-team win your conference, get in. I think that makes sense to a certain level, but I think I like the other stuff better. That hey, win your bowl game and then let's try to figure it out. And, because I still think money, followers, it's the back end stuff that we're never going to be able to get past, right? Is I don't know who the smaller. Is Tulsa really going to bring some fans over to play somewhere and whatever? Those colleges aren't going to like that. Not the bigger ones if they got to play Alabama or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think there's something to be said there. I guess the question I'd have, so the only thing that I don't like about option B is that that a group of 5 team is not, in that scenario, a group of 5 team is not making a New Year's Six bowl anymore. There's no more at-large bids. You've lost those. But I also feel like, at least in the short term, I can't speak long term, but I feel like in the short term, if you have a team like Cincinnati or Tulsa, I guess if you think Tulsa's going to beat Cincinnati, no, the first time they make the playoffs, they're traveling. It don't matter who they're playing. They're traveling. And if they win, then all you've done is validated the group of 5 now. Because, most of the time, the best group of 5 team is pretty decent. Now, maybe you could make an argument and say, hey, whoever's coming out of Conference USA, probably not. But they're gonna play. They're probably gonna play Cincinnati first anyway, and Cincinnati knows they're gonna win that game, or at least they should.
All right. Well, hey man, great Money Matters segment, man. That's good stuff, brother.
Always good stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I love the new. It's not hype music, but what do we call the new jingle? The new Money Matters jingle.
Yeah, just a little theme music behind them there. Yes, we'll have an intro for you here probably by the next show I'm having recorded. So
appreciate it.
This kind of takes us to an unprecedented situation here in the Big Ten where Ohio State's game with Michigan was canceled. They played every year. They played each other every year since 1918. Oh, well, it looks like it may not happen this year. And I hope this is the right one. Hey, there we go. So the fact that they haven't played a 6th game and it looks like they may not makes them automatically ineligible for a conference title game, which would obviously eliminate them from the playoff. You would think.
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
Well, it should.
Why?
Based upon their rules.
They're just going to change the rules.
Well, come on now. How many times has an SEC team that didn't go to their SEC championship game made it to the playoffs?
They've played.
They got to play 6. Yeah, they only play 3 games. But do you think, okay, if they didn't change the rules, which they're going to if they can't play, what can they just not pick up another game and get a 6th game? What he just talked about? Can you just not go pay somebody who's sitting at home too that maybe got count? You're trying to find 2 teams that match.
That's a good point, because here's what I would like to see. For all of you Aggie fans out there who think you deserve in, and your game with Ole Miss just got canceled for the same reason, let's put Ohio State and A&M up against each other on a neutral site.
They can't do that, though.
Gets in.
They can't do that.
Sure they can.
They could play.
No, they can't play unless we're just throwing all the rules out the window, because the SEC says you can't play any out-of-conference games, and so does the Big Ten. You know how mad Florida would be?
Well, that's what we're doing. We're changing the rules because that's what the Big Ten's about to do.
Florida would be pissed. Georgia would be pissed. Everybody be mad. South Carolina be mad. All these teams that had to cancel rivalry games because they couldn't play out of conference would be wholly upset.
Okay, well, our out-of-conference games against the number 4 team in the country. If you want to play an out-of-conference game, make it a top 4 team in the country, and we'll talk.
Well, South Carolina wanted to play Clemson.
I don't know why. but
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know why. So and this is a good topic. So there's a lot of history in this game and all this, but are we smelling some two pieces to this? I guess you want to hit on. Is the Big Ten, are the Big Ten, are they going to change the rules so that Ohio State can get in? And in Michigan just trying to give Ohio State the stab in the back. We ain't playing, so you can't get in. And we ain't trying to work. We ain't taking no extra tests. We ain't doing whatever.
Harbaugh doesn't want to take another loss.
Yeah. I think this time Michigan really is ducking Ohio State. I do think the Big Ten is going to change the rules, and I think they should change the rules because, one, I thought the rule was stupid to begin with, and the Big 12 changed their rules when TCU and Baylor tied for a conference championship, and it ended up backfiring on them. But they changed their rules. This is an unprecedented territory.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
And plus, if we're talking about money and conference revenue sharing and stuff, it is in the Big Ten's best interest to make sure that their only chance at winning a big bowl game and a playoff berth is eligible to go. Although the college football playoff has no rules on minimum games that you needed to play anyway. So I don't even think they have to change the rule. But
are you setting a precedent? I always thinking like that. Are you setting a precedent? Hey, we got these rules put up, but what? You know what? We just found out that wasn't in our best interest, so we need to switch this. That could happen at any point in time, right?
There's no minimum game requirement, but you got to have a body of work. Ohio State does not have a complete body of work with 5 games played when everybody else is playing 9, 8, whatever it was, 10, 11.
10, yeah. By that time, it's going to be up there.
I'm sorry. No, you had 5 chances fewer than other teams to lose. You can't say they wouldn't have lost any of those games. You can't say they would have. It's just no. I'm sorry. They're out.
It's just no, huh?
Well, I'm going to take the other side and say you can't convince me that Ohio State is not better than
Indiana.
Oh, they're definitely better than Indiana.
Or
I
Northwestern.
mean, they already beat Indiana. They're definitely better than Northwestern. They're definitely better than Michigan. Penn State sucks. Michigan State sucks.
Well, they can't win by default. That's not fair either.
Man,
Are they better than Notre Dame, Clemson, OU, Bama, Florida?
They're better than OU. I think they are. I think Ohio State and Florida that'd be actually a pretty good game. And I think Ohio State A&M could be a pretty good game as long as Kellen Mond actually shows up and does what he's supposed to do. And that at that point, now you're talking about 4, 5, and 6. We're not talking about Cincinnati. We're not talking about I don't even know who 8 is. Doesn't matter. Look at the rankings. I want to see these college football rankings.
8.
We should have started this at the very beginning of the season when Ohio State and Big Ten started playing, and all the other conferences were 3 games in.
Yes,
and they were 4, had not even played a game yet when everybody else were 3 games in.
But it's the same reason.
They're better than Ohio. They're better than Iowa State. They're better than Cincinnati. They're better than Georgia. I don't care what anybody says. They're better than Georgia. Georgia's offense is terrible. They're better than Miami. Yeah. Like, come on now.
Are they better than A&M?
I think
you won't hurt my feelings. I just want an honest answer.
I think if you played that game 10 times, Ohio State wins 7.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I think A&M is good enough to beat them.
There's a chance.
Yeah, there's a chance. But you just got to get old man Mond to, sling the ball around.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching. I just watched your boy throw a touchdown. I got to check my fantasy score now.
I'm anxious to see who's going to be the best pro. We know who's getting drafted higher. I'm anxious to see who's going to be a better pro, though.
Between who?
Fields or Mond? Because I just think Fields. I think Fields is Dwayne Haskins all over again.
Okay.
I can Montana, but I mean,
where you putting Mond at with that though? God, he got me. He beat me.
Josh Dobbins. That's where I'm putting him at.
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Joshua Dobbins.
You make him play running back?
Is Dobbins playing running back now? I thought he was like the fourth string
I don't know.
Ravens QB.
I don't know. He ran the ball, 3 times tonight, I saw. He lined up in the backfield.
No, that's J.K. Dobbins. I said Josh Dobbins.
The other
J.K.
Dobbins.
Josh Dobbins is the guy, Tennessee's old quarterback.
Oh, the other Dobbins.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's better than that. He's better than that. God, we get bogged down with stuff, don't we?
Yeah, come on. Let's go. Let's go, because we need to talk about this other dude. Oh, man. Jalen Hurts, man. He's starting. They didn't kick Wentz to the curb. They didn't kick Wentz to the curb. Is it too late?
Is it too late?
They should. I mean, what do you got to lose now? I don't know, man. I think here's really what my question when it comes to Wentz and Hurts. And yes, this is great. We need to dive into this. But does this firing of Wentz do anything for Dak in negotiation next year?
Nope.
You don't think so? They're going to give this guy $100 million, and they benched him.
No, if anything, it gives Jerry leverage.
Mm-hmm.
You think so?
Just now, Jerry's getting, hey, look at this. Look, they gave Wentz all this money. I mean, I don't agree with that necessarily, but I think that's what this means.
Yeah, I mean,
we all agree Dak's a better quarterback.
Well, yeah, I mean, Dak never got benched.
But he's a better quarterback.
Yeah, but the way they work these contracts is off precedents and stats and records and all this kind of stuff. And, they're not necessarily saying, hey this was wrong.
Carson Wentz has done nothing more than Dak has done. Carson Wentz has a Super Bowl ring, but he's never won a playoff game. Nick Folk won that. Or Nick Foles. Sorry.
But everybody's going to negotiate off his contract, especially because he's been bad. Hey, I'm better than him. And this is what they gave him. I understand the other part, but they're going to be negotiating. Why wouldn't they? I mean, they
definitely should.
I mean, it's crazy. This guy, and now they can't even cut him, right? I mean, we're looking at these numbers. And for those of y'all that are just listening to it, not watching it, the Eagles face a dead money hit of $52 million. 59 million. If he's released. That's crazy, man. Who even negotiated this deal?
That's just $70 million guaranteed.
I mean,
and if they trade him next year, it's a 2-year cap hit of 33.8. So if they decide they're ready to move anything, they end to trade him.
Who needs a quarterback?
And I guarantee there would be Jacksonville, Detroit, Chicago, 49ers,
Detroit,
Denver.
Stafford's better than Wentz.
Ooh.
Yeah, but in year number 13, and if you ain't done it by now, you're not gonna do it. It's time for a change of scene.
Yeah, but you don't want to pick up his contract. You don't want to pick up Wentz's contract.
And they're not going to cut Stafford. He's not about to retire. You're not going to sign a.
He'll finish his career somewhere else. Like Wentz will. Tampa Bay may be looking for a quarter here next. Who knows? How long is that going to last and fail?
Yeah.
Well, Ryan might be on his way out.
Yeah,
he needs to be. That's my worst fantasy pick ever, man. He gets on my nerves every single week. Good Lord.
Atlanta's going to need a quarterback here in the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, there's lots of teams out there.
Well,
go back. You have any eligibility left?
So what?
They ain't go back to college, win another title.
Where did he come from? Anyway, he was at North Dakota State.
Yep.
Just caught up with him finally.
License.
That's what it is.
Bisons.
Yeah.
You're gonna have all the Bisons down here knocking on your door when they come back down here for next time they're in the national championship.
What's Donnell talking about on here? Talking about Matt is a beast. With no help.
With no help. Are you
Okay.
kidding me? Are you serious? Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and he ain't got no help.
He's crazy. Girl, he's loaded, man. Come on, man.
Matt Stafford's been cursed with playing in Detroit his whole career.
Oh, he's talking about Matt Stafford, not Matt Ryan.
No, Matt
know.
Stafford. Well, I don't know. I'm
Wow.
assuming it was Matt Stafford.
Okay.
Either one, they got Galladay.
He's had hell. He had beasts. He had help.
Yeah,
He's
he
had
had Megatron for a little bit.
So let's after we've all laughed at the NFC East for a number of weeks, rightfully so. I don't see a lot of people laughing at football team and at New York Giants right now after they knocked off Seattle at home and the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers at home, respectively. And
Yeah,
it's all
so-
about the defense.
I was thinking about this. Not necessarily in the sense I'm gonna skate past the who they beat for just a second here. I was looking at the records, and I was looking at the divisions, the NFC in particular, and I realized, we've been dogging the NFC East for a while. But
Exactly.
if you look at if you look at the rest of the divisions, like if you take Green Bay out of the NFC North, the rest of their teams are 6-6, 5-7, and 5-7.
All right.
And the NFC South without the Saints, it's a 7-5 club and 2 4-8 clubs. So with that being said, really the NFC East kind of just as an entire division, it's kind of sitting in the middle of the pack right now as far as the NFC. Now,
Right.
The AFC is clearly just better top to bottom. They just got better records all the way around. But as far as the Giants and football team, they're actually just kind of middle of the road teams now as far as records are concerned.
Yeah,
But they've got
but
wins.
They've got what?
Some big wins,
They do have some big wins.
which these other mediocre,
Shocking wins.
a lot of them can't say that.
This is true.
well, do they get in? Do they win? Well, I don't know. Who's leading the division now? Is it
The Giants are still leading the division because they beat football team twice.
So it's a half a game, or is it a full game? Or the Giants own a tiebreak?
They own
They-
a tiebreaker.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm still standing by my pick, though. 2 weeks ago, I said football team was winning the division. I'm still standing by it.
Yeah, I've been saying that since week 3, I think, but since they benched Haskins. When they benched Haskins is when I
This
said
is true. This is true.
Yeah. I said they're going. But again, the Giants are playing well and they own that tiebreaker. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
And I'll just say to the gentleman in the chat 2 weeks ago who said that Washington wasn't going to win any more games, we were both wrong. You said they weren't going to win no more games. I said they were only going to win 2, and now they're totally winning 3 because they're beating the Eagles. I'm still saying they're beating the Eagles. So,
Yeah, I would think so.
The Giants have won 4 in a row. Football teams won 3 in a row. The Eagles have lost 4 in a row.
What about the Cowboys?
The Cowboys have lost
about to
1.
be 2 in a row.
Yeah, well, they're about to be 2 in a row.
So there you go. I mean, yeah, the NFC East, they're going to struggle to have a team above 500. I still don't think that's going to happen.
Can we talk about Pittsburgh real quick, though?
Yeah.
So I saw this on Twitter. It was on NFL memes or something. And they were basically just running through Pittsburgh's schedule and giving these 3-line recaps on how their season has went. I want to see if I can pull it up real quick, because I thought it was pretty indicative of what the Steelers really are, especially in the last couple of weeks, starting with the Cowboys. So they said Steelers road to 11-1. Week 1 beat Daniel Jones. Week 2, beat injured Broncos. Week 3, beat the trash Texans. Week 4, and their hardest opponent of the season was a bye. Week 5, they beat bum Wentz. Week 6, they beat the Browns, who didn't have Nick Chubb. Week 7, the refs beat the Titans. Week 8, the refs beat the Ravens. Week 9, they beat the 2-7 Cowboys. Week 10, they beat the 2-5-1 Bengals. Week 11, they beat the 1-8 Jags. 12, they beat the Ravens practice squad. And in week 13, they lost to a team with no name. And when I was reading this, I was like, yeah, I mean, they got like 2 good teams on this schedule that they beat.
So are you saying that they're going to be knocked out in the first round of the playoffs? Or they're going to have the bye? I've already clinched
it depends,
No.
because now the
You can't-
Chiefs, I think, are the Chiefs are the number 1 seed.
There's only one bye this year.
No, okay. So
There's
yeah,
only one team.
Right.
well, if they keep dropping passes, and I don't know what's wrong with Eric Ebron and them dudes not being able to catch no passes, hitting them right in the chest.
You know exactly what's wrong with Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron been dropping passes. I think he led the league like 2 years ago. I remember having this conversation. He led the league in drop passes, and he had like 32 drops. And the next guy that had the most drops had like 4.
Yeah, man, it was crazy, bro. And then he gonna hit himself in the head when they hit him in the chest. He gonna hit himself in the head like, no, dude, you a pro, man. You can't be dropping these breadbasket passes, bro. But you know, he's an athlete, and they let him. You know, he still can run good routes and all that kind of stuff. But if they're dropping passes like that, their running game is kind of struggling a little bit. I'm talking about the Steelers, you know, James Conner, he needs to get off COVID here, but they still hadn't been running the ball as well as they have. Snell hadn't been doing it. You know, trying to rely on Ben Roethlisberger, Claypool. What's the other wide receiver's name? Washington and Dante Johnson. Is that his name? I don't know if they can ride it out with Roethlisberger's arm. I don't think that's going to be the formula for them to do well unless they think their defense is going to keep them in play, you know? So I don't know, bro.
So does this loss so remember we all had them in the in our top 5. Does this loss change that for you? Are they no longer in the top 5? Or are they just lower in the top 5?
They already weren't in my top 5.
What?
I had 'em.
I thought you had them at 2.
I think you did. I mean, we can run the tape back.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
they had 2. Yeah, Kansas City,
Yeah.
Chiefs. Huh?
Oh, in the AFC. Okay, I thought you meant overall.
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
did overall.
No, we did overall. You had Kansas City, then the Steelers,
That was peer pressure.
then New
Oh,
Orleans.
you went second. That wasn't peer pressure.
On my other show, I did my real rankings.
Yes, dude.
So we're not good enough for your real rankings?
Yeah. What about the Rams? Are they in there? I know JT wasn't on them before, but are the Rams back? What happened to the Titans now? Are they still in the honorable mentions of your top 5 or no? You know?
Yeah, they are. I mean, they were getting boat race for a minute, and then they ended up coming back. So, I mean, that didn't waver too much on me. The lack of production against football team is, and then coupled with, I thought it was kind of a fluke that they were that close with the Cowboys, and then the Ravens with the practice squad for real, and then this week against football team. That's when I was kind of like, okay, I see. Maybe there is a little bit of something to this.
Okay. Well, listen.
Before we get into the break, I've got a Zeke Elliott yardage update for you.
Ooh, what is it?
Yeah.
At the end of the third quarter, 15 carries, 78 yards,
Oh,
average of 5.2.
what's the
Ooh,
score?
15 for 78. They're down by 14.
Uh-oh.
Not quite far enough to abandon the running game yet. And they've got the ball right now. I didn't see where they were, but so that's where we are. We're going to take another quick break. Coming on the other side, we're going to get into the Jets fiasco, Gase versus Greg Williams. And then after that, quickly, we're going to discuss a high school football assault on an official that we've all been kind of close to, and we've seen video on. That video went viral. This is Teague's Take. I'm Tim. He's George. He's JT. We'll talk about all that on the other side.
Increase time inside your home, noticing all the little things needing attention? Let Repair Resource be your one trusted contractor to tackle all of your home repair needs. They do it all: electrical, plumbing, drywall, painting, and flooring of all types. They can even handle your exterior needs, like fencing, patio covers, concrete pads, and decking. No job too big or small. Repair Resource does it all. Call them at 972-415-1198 or visit them online at www.repair-resource.com.
Hey, this is IndyCar Tim. I want to talk to you about the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, Texas. It's North Dallas's premier sports bar and grill located at 1616 West Hebron Parkway. It's 16 minutes from just about anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. With all of the live action on dozens of TVs and the big screen, it's the place to hang out and watch the return of sports with all your friends. Friday and Saturday nights, you'll find the best live music in DFW right there at the Maverick Bar. And of course, on Thursday nights at 6 p.m., you'll find Teague's Take broadcasting live with Alabama and Cowboys legend George Teague. Come hang out and be part of the show. Check out the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, 972-492-7500, or on the web at themaverickbar.com.
Meat Church. Do you need to take your barbecue and grilling game to the next level? Check out the great line of products from Meat Church Barbecue. From seasoning and rubs to full-blown recipes like pork belly burnt ends, smoked queso, beef ribs to smoked bologna, and Texas-style brisket, Meat Church has what you need. If your barbecue and grilling game is lacking, check out their barbecue classes and events. They'll help you raise your game to impress your friends and family. If you're in the Waxahachie area, please check out their store at 205 West College Street or give them a call at 214-980-1063 or head on over to meatchurch.com for locations near you where all their great products are available. Or order directly from them online at meatchurch.com.
Welcome back, everybody, as the coveted Cowboys kicker misses yet another field goal. That was kind of long, though. I didn't see it. Had to be at least 50, right? I didn't see what the yard was.
Maybe.
Cowboys down 24-10. They just gave the ball back to the Ravens early in the fourth quarter, just under a minute passed by in the fourth quarter. Dalton gets sacked on third down, and it wasn't even pretty. Had a little note here for you boys. We talked fantasy a little bit earlier. Lamar Jackson has 20-plus fantasy points for the 18th time since 2019. That is the most in the NFL in that span. And he just surpassed Cam Newton for the most games with 2 TD passes and 50 rushing yards in a player's first 3 seasons since 1950.
Honestly, I really don't even want to hear that because Ramajama or Andrew McAllister was talking trash to me earlier on the other show, and so he is now winning 109 to 107. I don't have any more players left, so I really needed Lamar to throw like 1 or 2 more interceptions or fumble the ball or something so I can come back and win this game because he's up by a couple points on me right now.
I need Andrew to give me my props, though, because I told him to pick Lamar instead of Dalton.
Well, so it's supposed to be family right here, brother. You're supposed to tell him, put in and
no, you beat me too. Man. Well, you usually be floating me some wins over here.
You know what? I've said this to your mom, and this will be the truth. She's standing right over here. She can tell you. I said, hey, JT, because I increased the teams to 6 teams to get in, you're kind of my dark horse of coming in because you're getting your guys back healthy. You're getting guys coming off COVID and IR and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, JT going to come in here and knock somebody off in his first round of playoffs. I see you grinning because you're thinking the same thing. Like, man, I got a chance.
Yeah, my running backs are back.
Yeah, everybody's back. I'm like, oh, this is not good, man. He going to come in. I should have left it at 4. Just left him out before he got strong. So,
when do y'all's playoffs start? I mean, they got to be starting
next week,
right? Next week?
We start next week.
So on next week's show, we're going to get a fantasy league update from you guys. Who's seeded what? Who's playing who? And maybe make some predictions and what the outlook looks like. Let's do that next week.
Yep, and I promise you I'll make a better decision than the defensive coordinator made with the Jets.
Greg Williams.
Well, hold on. So I want to give an update real quick because you allowed 6 teams in, but I don't think I'm going to make it because Mom just beat me because the Steelers were terrible, and Brent's team is currently beating Mitchell's cool team. And
Brent's going to get in?
And he will jump me from 7 to 6.
Oh, no. So Brent is profilesites.com. And he's been talking man trash the whole time. And I was really hoping he'd just get eliminated. But I'm happy for you, brother. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because Marquise Brown is finally, doing something today. So
I told you that was my fantasy pick. I don't know how many points he has. How many points he got?
12.4.
Okay. It's okay. He might throw him another one. I don't know. Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball a lick, fellas. I don't know. I don't know what happened in a year, but it's just
what happened. I told you what happened. That was the anomaly. That season was his anomaly season. He's never been accurate with the ball and been able to throw the ball. He was not accurate in Louisville. His Heisman win was he's one of the worst Heisman winners since Johnny Manziel.
You're saying because of all the rushing? Is that what you're saying? I mean, he's like a running back.
He's not a good quarterback. He's not.
Well,
I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is he took the team to a long run in the playoffs last year. They look like they're going to get back in this year, right? They should make it, or no?
No, they're out.
They're out of the playoffs right now.
Oh, they're already out.
This ain't the NFC. The AFC actually doesn't have any teams with losing records making the playoffs right now.
So 7 teams make the playoffs. They're number 9 right now, behind the Raiders at 8, and they are chasing the Colts, Dolphins, Browns, Titans, Bills, Steelers, Chiefs.
Oh,
yeah, they're not getting there.
Okay, well, so let's talk about this. I know we alluded. So I was talking to Clancy earlier today about this last play of the Jets game. Who goes man to man blitz on the last play of the game when you know they got to go deep to win the game? And
Greg.
Yeah, and this is not new though. This is not a new thing.
No.
But it costs you your job, bro. I mean, I really don't understand. I know, do you not work on prevent defense or just go quarters if you don't want to do something? Or, I mean, there's so many other options other than just running a very basic blitz.
Are they tanking on purpose? Are the Jets, were they so close to a win that they said, man, we can't do it. We cannot win this one. We need that pick. Jaguars are bad. Can't win this, Greg.
But why doesn't the head coach don't get fired? Why
would you fire the guy? That's absolutely right.
I have a theory. So I thought about this a long time on why the head coach did not get fired. So what I found out was that I was mistaken. Adam Gase was only the acting GM for like a month. There is an actual GM, and that GM needs to have a scapegoat. So they got rid of Greg Williams because they could, but he could still point the finger at Adam Gase and be like, "That dude's the problem, not me. It's not for a lack of talent. It's because our head coach is terrible." So he's trying to keep the head coach as long as possible to go ahead and get this tank, right, so they can get the number 1 pick, and he can have his number 1 pick of his choice, so they can turn it around and he'll look like the hero, and then get rid of Adam Gase at the end of the season. But what he doesn't want to do is fire Adam Gase and then hire a new coach, and either that new coach does better and then he doesn't get his pick, or they find out that it actually is a talent issue, and then the owner fires him instead.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they all need to be gone. They got to start over.
Franchise is a mess.
Yes, it is. It is. So, it is what it is, though.
Good right now.
Another job opening for someone to try to take. I don't know if that's one of the premier jobs that we consider the Jets or any of those New York teams.
The Giants. I don't think the Jets is a premier job. The Jets are not a premier job.
No, and I don't think the Jets have been a premier job for a long time, if
No.
ever.
No, not since the late 70s. Maybe.
I mean,
They scream a lot.
Belichick
They got a
didn't even
good
want
check.
that job, right?
Yeah, he took the job for a day.
Well, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't have to play up there either. But, so all right. Well, we'll see. We'll keep watching these coaches fall and see what happens after another week of football. Because there got to be two or three more left that are probably going to get fired.
Was that the last job that Greg Williams will ever have in the NFL? Surely nobody's going to hire him back. Are they?
Should be. He shouldn't have a job now. I don't understand how he was eligible to work in the NFL.
Just all the baggage that comes along with him. I can't imagine.
People still hire people they know and trust, and there's still a little bit of good old boy system in there. He'll land somewhere. It might be a consultant. He'll grab a check. It ain't going to be over.
Bring him to Dallas.
For him. And speaking of over, we got a high school kid whose season is over. His whole
team season is over.
Whole team season. So it was a high school kid out of Edinburgh
High School
who cold blasted an official after catching a couple penalties, and there was a lot of discussion, right? And I even had a discussion with my team, and it was very interesting about it to see what they thought about it. If a high school kid hits an official or does anything, one should he be charged with assault, which he was, right? He was charged with assault.
So it should be noted that he's 18, so he is an adult.
Okay. I get it. People still say I'm a kid, high school, whatever, makes a mistake. Should he get hit with an assault? This was a question I posed to my team. And someone said that, hey, how old was he? Is he 18? And this is what the law says. Very strict. And some people say, well, why not? And then my next question was, okay, is it okay to, because of his action, kick the whole team out? And it was interesting to hear about that, because that was kind of mixed of, hey, you got to set an example and let people know that, hey, you can't go hitting the ref ever for any reason. And so all of y'all have to pay for it. So I don't know how you guys think about that, but I can kind of see it, but you could see people trying to not let him do it, that he actually had players and coaches chasing him, so there had to be more than his kid, some kind of anger.
Which tells you that, number one, he's clearly got an anger management issue. And number two, teammates and coaches knew about it because, like you said, they knew what he was headed out there to do, and they were chasing him, trying to catch him before he got to the ref. Mm-hmm. So, apparently, and this dude's from what I read, he's also the state champion wrestler from that school.
Yep. And
he's been disciplined in the wrestling ranks before this. I mean, he's a noted hothead in the high school ranks up there. So I don't think any of this was a surprise. But as far as the punishment, I agree 100%. He actually caused physical harm to that referee, concussion-like symptoms, and separated his shoulder. That's assault. I don't care if it's on a football field, if it's on a hockey rink, baseball field. That is assault. And you're 18. You should know better. As far as the team being disqualified, the entire team, it seems a little harsh, I think. But you know what? Set an example. You're setting a precedent. Sorry, guys. Next year, except for you seniors.
Well, so no one will do it again. But so I went into that a little bit deeper because of the way high school sports and maybe the way pro sports or college sports are portrayed when people make bad decisions on the field. So I posed two other questions that I want you guys to think about, our fans to think about and stuff. Okay, so this guy's made a mistake. He has assault. Does he deserve another chance in college or something? Will people recruit him? Just be hypothetical. He was that kind of player. He's district MVP, all that. He probably had a chance to go play in college. Will someone pick him up, first of all, and should they? But the next piece is when you have acts like that in the National Football League, and I'm speaking specifically to like a Myles Garrett case.
Right.
If you can't tell me that ain't assault, okay, he a player in 18, he rip off someone helping, and he trying to smash someone in the head with a helmet. He's still playing. I don't know that there was some kind of assault charge. I'm not sure of that, but I'm almost certain there wasn't. And so I think there's a little bit of double standard here on the way we're treating our athletes. So what you got, JT?
Well, so I wanted to say that I'm not a lawyer, but I did take a business law class, and I went back and I checked my notes on
You kept your notes from this.
the definition of assault, and I think there's something missing here because if I remember correctly,
Intent to hurt.
yes, intent to hurt. But like I said, there's something missing. He actually hit the dude. That's battery.
All
He should be charged with assault and battery.
All right.
And I don't necessarily care how old he is. Because if you're playing high school football, you're old enough to know better. But that's what we have laws for. Whether you know better or not, there are just things that you can do and things that you can't do. If a 10-year-old gets behind the wheel of a car, you can't say, "Oh, he was 10, he didn't know any better." It's like, well, look, you got to be 16 to drive, and you got to have a license. So, like, it is what it is. He ran out and he hit the dude, blindsided him, and caused all kinds of problems. And I'm with Tim. I don't know whether or not you kick out the whole team or not. The only thing that rubs me the wrong way about the team having to forfeit is that they finished the game. If it would have happened and they just stopped the game at that point and they said, "All right, you got to forfeit," that would have sat a little bit better with me because it was like, look, right then. But since it happened in the second quarter and they went to halftime and they played the rest of the game and they got an outcome, I don't know. I understand this setting a precedent, and I can get on board with that. But at the same time, this is a little bit of uneasiness just because you decided to continue.
Right.
But,
I think they have to, there's one about Ndamukong Suh, and stomping on people and all that kind of stuff. But I just think
to add about Myles Garrett, that was also assault and battery, and that should have also been charged as assault and battery.
Yeah, I don't know how it wasn't. I mean, I was highly upset with that. I don't know. Trust me, does anybody know about emotions flying, right?
Yeah, and even with Myles Garrett, I don't care what. I don't believe he said what Myles Garrett said he said. But even if he did, that still doesn't give you the license to remove his helmet and then hit him in the head with it.
That could have been disastrous, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That could have been assault, battery, and manslaughter.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know. That makes me uneasy, when we're dealing with that. All I know is that for any of my players that are listening, you can't do that. You should not even be thinking like that. And I know JT and I and the rest of our coaching staff are always trying to talk about how to make better decisions. And when you get frustrated and upset, shouldn't even be doing it to other players like that. But to go hit a referee or an official, that's a whole different level, man. And yes, you should be penalized and sent home and not be involved in any more sports for the rest of the year. And hopefully we'll hear some more reports about, I know we won't hear about it because it'd be private stuff, but he needs to be in alternative school. I'm assuming that automatically comes with an assault charge that you got to go to alternative school. And he's got to finish out the rest of his year there. And it is what it is, as you guys said. So enough of that.
Does he deserve a second chance? Or I think I'm of the mindset as long as he pays his debt to society, then fine. If
but he should be done with sports. I mean,
think so. I mean, I
no
think if he pays his debt, then he can give another go at it. But what?
He's going to be the guy that's going to be in your flag football league that is totally obnoxious and they're going to try to hurt you and kill you in that little league out there on that little grassy field out there and try to remake his name because he got kicked out of a game in high school. So just buyer beware. Just buyer
maybe
beware.
The XFL.
You might. All right. Hey, let me give y'all some news before we cancel up. Let me give y'all some news because I know I hadn't even told you guys this yet, and I'm excited about it. And I need to make sure I start putting it out and tweeting it and putting it on Instagram and Facebook. But on GeorgeTeague.com, we now have framed jerseys, framed pictures of me hitting Terrell Owens, and framed pictures of me carrying the American flag that you can purchase through GeorgeTeague.com. All you got to do is go down, scroll down a little bit. You'll see sports memorabilia right there. Click on that button. It'll take you right to it. You might as well go ahead and get some gifts for Christmas. A lot of you guys have inquired about, man, how do I get one of your jerseys? How do I get that frame? Why do I do it? Just go right on to GeorgeTeague.com. That's why I got it up here. You can see how it's spelled. If you don't know how to spell George Teague, scroll down a little bit, sports memorabilia, and go get you an Alabama jersey, a Dallas Cowboy jersey, or one of those nice pictures. So, fellas, y'all make sure y'all check that out and let everybody know that, hey, they can go out there and grab this stuff now. It's on. It's live. It's good stuff.
Very nice, man. That's good stuff. I didn't even know that. I'm going to have to go on there. Apparently, that's going to be the only way I can get some memorabilia is go on there and buy it. So,
no, if you take that darkness off, you take that darkness off from behind you. There's a really nice George Teague jersey tacked up on your wall right there. Oh, whatever the hell, you put some Velcro on it or something.
Well, for Tim, can you just like put a frame up there that he can buy?
frame around.
Just buy the frame.
Yes, I'm doing that. All right, you boys have anything else for tonight?
No, I guess JT, I need to know, did you put your jersey up? Because you were one of the winners, I guess, of a jersey way back when. Did you get it up in your game room? Is your game room?
It's not up there yet. I don't even know if I've even been in the game room yet.
Nope.
We've been down in the living room doing all of our television watching and whatnot. But
Tinsley has you distracted, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
maybe.
She does.
Well, you can let look at him. Donnell talking about he won a shirt for his wife. We knew what you went. Where's our street team tees? We're gonna get the. Did you see my new shirt? So I have it here. I just got them made, so I'll get those out to the team here pretty soon as well. But hey, man, another great show, fellas. I'm glad that we had David Smoak on. Y'all make sure y'all check him out, smoky.com. And we'll be back at it again next week. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to have a lot of people in the chat room next week, man. We're going to have 7 members, right? 7 guests with the street team. Huh?
That's going to be interesting. I can't wait for this one.
Wait. Am I right? Or do we got another one? No, that's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks. Yeah, I got Mark McMillan on.
Yeah, Mark McMillan.
Yeah, we got Mark McMillan on next week. That's going to be a good one too. Oh, Mighty Mouse.
Mighty Mouse himself.
Had to come on. I don't know how tall he is. 5'6", maybe 5'5".
He's bigger than that.
Oh, come on now. He's got to be taller than me.
Yeah, you can't play 8 years. 5.
Well, look at this deal, and because they fudge that, especially if you're short.
That's true.
What they got him listed at 5'8", maybe.
I'm trying to see. They got him listed at 5'7".
Yep. See, I told you.
5'7", 154 pounds.
Yeah, the dude's tiny, bro. 5'7", defensive back. That means he was 5'6", 145 pounds, probably. But
that's Doug Flutie size right there.
But he had the best feet ever, and we're looking forward to him coming on next week and talk about old X-Clan and some old DB talk. So
that'll be fun.
It will. So appreciate you guys, man. Y'all hang in there. Everybody be safe. We know the holidays are coming up. Y'all get ready for some Christmas stuff. Get all your gifts done. Like I said, don't hit us up on georgetv.com. I see one of you smart guys put the link up in there. Thank you guys for that. And we'll be back next week, same time, Tuesday.
Absolutely. For everybody that's been part of this one, we want to say thank you. Thank you to David Smoak so much for popping on here with us and sharing some of his knowledge and his Baylor stories and all of that stuff. That was just great. We'll be back, as George said, next week with Mark McMillan, Mighty Mouse himself. Can't wait for that one. And then in 2 weeks, we've got the Street Team show with everybody popping on here with us to talk about sports and whatever. It's going to be interesting. You'll have to see, Andrew. All right, just tune in 2 weeks, and you'll see why it will be, quote, interesting, unquote. Yeah. All I'm saying. I mean, interesting from my vantage point over here. I don't know about what you're watching, but it's going to be interesting over here. That's all I got to say.
We're going to talk some volleyball with Andrew. We're going to talk some volleyball, see what kind of coaching skills he got. Yes, he coaches volleyball.
We'll talk beach volleyball with Andrew. Let's get into a little bit of that. All right, everybody. Until next week, everybody stay safe.
I don't have any paper.
Oh, you didn't get to throw it.